Hello and welcome to the channel. This is a new channel where I'm going to be talking about motherhood and all the things that come with it. I am a mom of a 5-year-old boy and a 3-year-old boy. I don't know everything and life changes all the time, but I'm excited to share my experiences with you. My last video and my first video was about my first journey of pregnancy, which was 6 years ago. And so that was September 2018 into April 2019. And so I shared our journey with us having an unplanned pregnancy and living separately up until I was 7 months pregnant. We found a 2-bedroom little trailer and moved in together and started a home. And so that's where I kind of left off. I told a little bit about my pregnancy. If you would like to hear about that, click the link down below and it'll send you straight to it. But if you want to just hear the birth story, you don't care about the pregnancy, then we will get started on that. So the birth story kind of starts with talking about the end of pregnancy. At 37 weeks, I went to an appointment, and at this point, at around 36 weeks, you start going weekly. And so I went to the OB from a 37-week checkup appointment, and he ordered an ultrasound for my 38-week appointment and said, the baby's measuring small, let's check on him, make sure he's okay. They heard the heartbeat and stuff, so they weren't particularly worried. And my husband, his mom's on the shorter side, and we're not super tall and super big, so we were like, okay, maybe he's just a little baby. So at 38 weeks, they did the ultrasound and they said he was measuring small. And I was lucky because my husband was actually thinking he was going to work that day. I was going to go to the appointment by myself, no big deal, I was feeling fine. But it was Good Friday and he ended up having the day off and he went with me. And it was good because the doctor brought us into a room and said, hey, we're gonna go ahead and send word over to the hospital. We'd like you to go home, get your stuff for delivery, and meet them over there in 2 hours or so. They said to take my time, but they said to be there kind of earlier. The earlier the better. That way we don't go into the night with the labor, hopefully. But it was unpredictable, so they wanted to get it started as soon as possible. So I was already 3.5 centimeters dilated, so we were pretty progressed in the beginning stages. I was feeling those tightenings in my stomach already, the ones that don't really hurt, but they feel a little bit like period cramps. So it's just just uncomfortable, uncomfy. And so we went home, and I'll never forget, my husband was 19 and I was almost 21, and we just prayed in our little trailer kitchen, and he tried to get me to eat a granola bar, which made me feel nauseous because I was so nervous. He drove us over there with all of our stuff, and I remember getting checked in and getting all the IVs in, answering millions of questions, and then I just remember laying in the hospital bed, waiting for everything to start, going, I think I feel a little bit of contractions. And the lady was like, oh, we haven't even put the Pitocin in. Your body's just doing its own thing. And I think by the time that they started the Pitocin, I was already 4 centimeters. So I think if they would have left me alone, I probably would have gave birth by myself, not being induced, within the weekend. But I just followed orders at that point. I kind of wish I would have stood up for myself, but I didn't know that I could back then. I didn't know what to do, so I just listened to what everybody said, and now I'm a little bit more defiant, but I was just doing what I thought was right. And so I went in, we got induced. I remember when I got good and settled, my parents came in, because it was 2019, it was before COVID and restrictions and stuff. So they came in and brought Javier. I'll give him a name. My husband's name is Javier, because I've been saying the boyfriend at the time, husband now, so Javier is his name. So they brought Javier McDonald's, I think, and he was really hungry. And when he's nervous, he gets hungry. When I'm nervous, I can't eat. So we're like opposite. So he scarfs down McDonald's in the corner of the room with my dad, and my mom's with us, just kind of chilling, and she's beside me. And I progressed 2 centimeters per hour for the next little bit. And so I think I was about 6 centimeters when I told my mom. I was like, okay, this kind of really hurts. And I remember, before I forget, right as they were hooking me up and I was starting to feel contractions, I literally remember like alarms going off and them bringing me out to the hallway because there was tornado warnings in the area. And we had just moved into a trailer around a bunch of trees. I was worried about not getting home to a trailer, like if there was a tornado that came through, not having a home to go to, or just giving birth in a hallway at the hospital was intimidating because there was a lot of people there. But I just remember being like, okay, can I go back in the room now? But after like 30 to 45 minutes of kind of slow labor and just hanging out in the hallway, they let me go back in the room. But I just remember being like, no, please no tornadoes. But anyways, my mom and dad ended up having to exit because I was starting to get into a lot of pain, and my mom kept pressing the call button saying I needed something. I ended up having 1 round of medication for pain put into my IV, but I do not remember the name of it, but I remember it making me feel really loopy. I really didn't like the way it made me feel, and I remember not being able to get up to go to the bathroom, and that was embarrassing, but I was kind of looped out. But I didn't get an epidural. Eventually, I got up to, I think it was like 7 centimeters, and my water hadn't broke. My contractions weren't really progressing. So my OB doctor came and she broke my water for me with one of those little sticks. I clenched up because I was nervous that it would hurt. And then my face went from like, to ew. Because it feels like a warm balloon gets popped inside of you. Sorry, TMI, but it was really gross. But anyways, I remember feeling a little bit nauseous too when I was getting to that point. And I remember holding a blue bag. I never did throw up, so this story ain't gonna get gross. But I just remember holding it up to me. And my husband, he was sitting down, and he was kind of crunched over, and he started pulling my hands like towards his face, like with the barf bag. And I was like, do you need one too? And he was just had to stand up. But I was making him kind of queasy with like everything going on. And so he just had to stand up and shake it off. But we were both like, this is a lot. But I don't remember all of the details because this was 6 years ago. But I just remember not getting an epidural because I hate needles. So I opted not to get that. And so I remember the cramps getting super intense and really close together to the point where they were back to back. There wasn't a start and end. It was just like mountain after mountain after mountain, and that's what it looked like on the little screen as well. And I just remember she finally said I could push during a contraction, and I remember instantly feeling a little better. And so I was like, okay, let me push again. And so after about 20 minutes of pushing, he was out. So, I mean, it was a pretty relatively easy birth. And I just remember he was born at 8:34 p.m. and my parents had stayed the whole time and waited for word from either the nurses or Javier. But I remember Javier getting pictures of me with JJ or our son, and getting pictures of him and videos for me. And they didn't even lay him on my chest right away. I really think I was out of it, but it didn't end up, I don't remember much from that moment, but I remember them giving me a little bit of oxygen, and like somebody was really trying to talk to me, and I just did not process it for a second. But after about 15 minutes, I was like, or maybe 5, everything's kind of warped when you're in that like position. And I remember having to birth the placenta and everything as well. I don't keep it and eat it. Some people do, and I'm definitely not against it, but never really appealed to me. I need to look into it, see how beneficial it is, because I'm not shaming. I just doesn't really appeal to me personally. But I just remember holding JJ for the first time probably around like 9 or so. It was a minute after he was born, because I had to like get back to reality and be like, oh yeah, my baby. I look back on my Facebook memories, and it was even after midnight before I posted the pictures of him for like announcing he was born and stuff. So everything is like a blur. But also when he was born, I think my dad came back and brought me McDonald's again. I guess McDonald's was close by or something, but I remember just really, really wanting a McDouble because I watched them eat it earlier, and I was not hungry during labor at all, but I was starving right after. I remember being like, okay, somebody get me up so I can go eat something, because I ate a smoothie before my doctor's appointment that morning around 9:30, and it was 9 or 10 o'clock, and I was like, okay, now I'm hungry. 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And so that was the story of my first birth induced. I have so many more stories for you guys. I also want to talk about some complications we had after birth with JJ as well, and that felt like a whole nother story. And so I think I'm going to be posting periodically during the next couple of weeks, and then when I get most of like my background stories out there for you guys, I think I'm gonna do like once a week Tuesday content or something. But right now I'm like full of mom stories for you guys, and yeah, I want you guys to share your stories as well, because I love to hear them. I have always loved hearing birth stories. I don't care how TMI or gross you may think they are. Like, I love hearing about the human body, and especially motherhood and birth and all that jazz that goes along with it. I love it. If I wasn't such a queasy person, I would be a midwife. I can listen to stories about it all day long, but even birthing videos, I have trouble watching. So it's a weird way to be, but it'll be okay. If you enjoyed watching this video, I really hope you stay around and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll probably post another video tomorrow or Friday, just because I've got a lot to say. I've got so many stories inside of me that I haven't really told a lot of people. So stick around if you like the motherhood stories, and I'll be happy to spill them all. See you later.